All right, all right. We are back for third episode of Beer for the Right Reasons. Myself, Riley, aka BT Freeze, and my good friend Canadian Adam. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Doing well.
Nice, man. Nice.
Not
Well,
bad.
third week. We're getting into the meat of the season, right? No more
Yeah,
limos, no more anything. Just right
and,
into it.
and I mean they did trim the crowd pretty good at the end of the episode too. So yeah,
They really
they're
did.
they're done wasting time.
Love it. Love it. So yeah, first thing we wanted to talk about in front for everybody is sort of going over some Bachelor Nation stuff. That's kind of how we start off every one of our podcasts here. Last week we talked about all the Katie Blake breakup buzz, and then this week we have some news from our friends to the north. Uh,
Yeah. So airing. Oh geez, we're 4 episodes in now, so I guess it would have started the week before Michelle's season.
mm-hmm.
Bachelor in Paradise Canada kicked off,
Nice.
which is I'm not sure why they're doing it, but I don't mind them doing it. So I know that it can't really be watched anywhere else but Canada, and that's actually plays into something I'm going to talk about really quick. So I'll just recap kind of the general premise and how it's kind of different. So it is
Sure.
Bachelor in Paradise. It's a bunch of They take a bunch of singles from previous seasons and they stick them all on the beach, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So obviously it opens. They're going to some lake up north in Ontario. They call it north and they act like it's the wilderness, but they're like 2 hours from Toronto. It's not really
Sure.
that far away. But hey, you gotta act like it's out there. So everyone's making all the Canadian bacon and maple syrup jokes because that's what the Americans are doing because they did bring in a mix of American contestants. I mean, four of them, but still. And I
Right.
just thought it was
Right.
weird that they're calling it Canadian bacon on a Canadian broadcast because in Canada we call it back bacon.
Sure. Sure. I've even
So
like I remember
yeah,
I worked for a Canadian dude when I worked at Play It Again Sports in college,
yeah.
and he used to just
Oh,
call
I
it
remember
ham.
that company.
He would just
Yeah,
call it ham.
it's also ham.
Yeah.
Ham. Yeah. So I
Funny.
thought that was weird that yeah, it's a Canadian only airing of a show and they're using the American words for things. I just anyway.
Love it. Love it.
So yeah, I mentioned four previous contestants. So Elena, she was on Matt's season.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Brendan S from Katie's season. Do you remember him?
Was he Rockadoodle?
I don't remember. I think he kind of blended into the background.
Brendan S. I don't. That name does. I know there was a Canadian dude that
He
looked
looked
like
like he
Rockadoodle.
looked like yeah, a little bit. He's got a little bit of the
The
you know
poofy hair.
the poof. Yeah,
Okay, maybe
exactly.
that's what I'm
That's
thinking
him.
of. Sure.
Angela from Nick's season and Bachelor in Paradise,
Okay.
and Camille from Becca's season and Bachelor in Paradise.
Nice.
And then they brought in a mix of Bachelor Canada people. So that was people that were on either the one season of the Canadian Bachelorette or either season of the Canadian Bachelor. So
Right.
um, their names are Lisa, Chris, and Stacy. Chris is crazy. He's great TV, but he's also cringe TV. Stacy is my crush.
Ah, there you
And
go.
Lisa is like chaotic good energy, so I actually really like her. The last thing they did on this is they brought in Bachelor Nation people.
Oh.
So what I think this is these are people who probably applied for the show previously. They liked them enough, but weren't going to quite put them on,
Right.
and we're like, well, we'll keep you around. We'll keep you around. We'll think about it, and then we've got this show. We're sticking you in a camp up north in Toronto for 2 weeks or whatever it is, right?
Yep.
So. And I believe they were fan voted in too. I guess they put them all up on a website and people got voted in. So
That's
yeah, you
cool.
get a bunch of normal people, and because of that, the whole vibe of the show is so different. Because there's no clout to be gained on this show. It's a Canadian production of Bachelor in Paradise.
Right.
There's 38 million people in Canada. There's more people in California. Like,
True. True. True.
there's no clout to be gained from the show, so everyone's just kind of there hanging out. So the vibe is just so different. Like the people are actually they're like, yeah, maybe it'd be really cool to finally like be in love and stuff. That'd be neat.
Could actually find
You know?
something genuine, not
Yeah,
Instagram followers.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think that people kind of fall into like four groups. So obviously, the Bachelor Nation people are probably were fans or did audition. And they're probably maybe there's a couple guys. I think there's two of the guys and maybe one of the girls we might see on Bachelor in Paradise next year. They might
That'd be
bring them
cool.
down
Like move them
to
over
the big
from
beach.
BIP to BIP.
Kind of like Winter Games. Remember they brought in
Oh, I think it's
a couple of the
genius.
Canadians and then a couple of Aussies. I think it was right, something like that.
Yeah, and there was like a couple of European ones as well.
Yeah, yeah. Some of them for like Camille and Angela. It's kind of like last chance on the show kind of feel. You know what I mean?
Although
like,
they said that for Claire on Winter Games, right? And then she got
true,
true.
But I Camille's Camille, if you remember him, and
vaguely, yes.
Yeah, he wasn't great. He was the guy that proposed to Annalise on Paradise.
Yes.
When you could tell he kind of clearly didn't want to, but he was trying to look like a good guy on TV or whatever.
Yep. Poor Annalise. She's been through a lot, that lady.
Yeah. And then it's like, and then like local Canadians, and then just, I think they're like, I consider those locals just kind of like people are just like, yeah, whatever. And then Canadian ones who were on the show, they're just like, yeah, sure, I'll do another show for a bit.
Sure.
And like I looked at some of them, they only have like 1,200 Instagram followers. Like these are not the same as
level
the US ones.
Yeah.
Oh, I also forgot to mention that Caitlin from Colton's season is on.
Oh yeah, okay.
Remember her?
Yeah,
she was the girl who was like, he's like, so what do you like to do? She's like, I like to go out with my friends and party. He was like, okay.
Yo, all right. Love it. Yeah. Love it.
That was about it. So otherwise, but the show is Bachelor in Paradise. The one big thing they do differently though, Alex Bordychuk, who I've never seen before, shows up in episode 3. He might be the most handsome man on planet Earth.
Oh, okay.
Shit.
Okay.
He was on Rachel's season, I think. Oh gosh, that dude is so handsome and he's ripped and he's smart. Dang.
I'll have to look him up. I love it. Love it.
But really the big difference that it comes down to is they're not miserable in the beach heat. Like you can tell like the US contestants are miserable in that sun, right?
Oh yeah.
They're like sweating and they're uncomfortable. Like they're like in the evenings they're like wearing like long sleeve shirts and jeans.
Where is it held?
2 hours north of Toronto. 2.5 hours
okay.
Toronto.
That's interesting. And
it was shot in probably late July, August, so it would be quite warm, but it wouldn't be too bad.
Comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, like just a nice comfortable heat. They actually look like they have stuff to do,
Right.
Like there's fire pits around and all, but then there's also like I appreciate this. They're playing cornhole, and they've got
smart
just activities and like camping activities going on all the time.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's kind of neat that they actually have like something to do besides just sit on the beach and work out, and
hang out, work out, and make out. Yep.
Yeah. So I thought that was neat. And then the third thing that I actually think the show does really great, and it's actually been my favorite thing so far, is even though people will go on their one-on-one date, but everyone doesn't just sit back at the campsite just like
ho hum.
Yeah. Instead, they kind of do like a soft group date every night, and I think that's really cool. So the first one was like around the campfire, let's play truth or dare with everybody.
Love it.
And the second one, they had a concert from an actually quite well-known Canadian musician. I was like, holy shit, that's Dean Brody.
Okay.
It's like actually,
not somebody that's obscure.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then I forget what the third night was here. Do I have it written down? I don't.
That's okay.
But oh no, they didn't do it the third night. The third night or third episode or whatever, they put a date card out, but then they gave one guy the power to hand it out to a couple. So then everyone's kind of like competing to pamper this guy and convince him.
Oh,
some
nice.
people are having sit-down chats.
Yeah.
Some people are like, here's a nice back rub. Here's a drink. Like,
Make you a cocktail, buddy.
Yeah, they're like mixing it up a bit. And it's pretty, I don't know, it's refreshing. Plus the episodes are 60 minutes. So they just like fly by. It took 3 episodes to get the first rose ceremony.
I love it. I love it. That's such a better format for that anyway.
Yeah.
I think it should be an hour.
Great.
Yeah.
I actually really like it. And like I said, if you ever, happen to be sailing sometime and you're on the high seas and you happen to be able to watch these episodes, I definitely give it a go.
Yeah, no, I definitely need to find a way to watch the Canadian versions of it because, like, hey, thanks for the follows, guys, and also thanks Switchfaced for hanging out. Appreciate you. No, I definitely need to find a way, like I don't know if it's a VPN. You didn't hear that, my internet provider, but watching all these because I got to watch Big Brother Canada, and it was so much better than regular Big Brother that
Oh,
I'm sold.
did you watch season 9?
Whatever the most recent one was.
Okay, I went on a date with a girl from that season.
Oh, nice. What was her name?
I'll tell you offline.
Okay, sounds good.
I'd rather keep it there. But
Fair enough.
I just thought that was interesting.
Personal things. I like it.
Yeah.
Let's hop into Michelle's episode here.
Absolutely.
Episode 3 obviously starts with a recap, as most of them do, right? I think the general start of the episode kind of picks up on what the previous episode did, which was all the Jamie drama, right? And so they talk a little bit about that. The guys talk a little bit about it, kind of recap. Hey, Scooper, hello. But yeah, no, I think it's just kind of generalized same vibes as the end of the last one, right?
Yeah. They're just kind of picking up right where they left off. Everyone's like, yeah, I don't know who was talking shit because I didn't hear about it. Oh, I didn't hear about it. I didn't hear about it. And Jamie just kind of kept quiet to himself.
Yep. Although I did think it was funny that he used the time to say that he was ahead of everyone else because he had gone on his one-on-one. So
he's getting high on his own farts. Holy
man,
crap.
I think he even talked in the third person a couple of times, talking about like Jamie.
What's up, wee boy?
Hey, and Lumi, hello. So yeah, like kind of moving from that, the first group date card comes in, right, pretty early on into the episode, and the people on this group date,
30 minutes in,
it was super quick into it. It was great. And you had Martin, LT, Olu, Spencer, Clayton, Nate, Joe, Rick, Will, and Peter. And the quote for the group date was, "I want a man who isn't afraid of the danger zone." So I figured we'd go to the danger zone. Now that we're properly clad here,
you bet.
Let's talk first group date. So yeah, why don't you kick off kind of how the first group date started?
So they show up to some airfield. It was an air museum, actually. I was about to say an Air Force base, but that's wrong. But they show up to an air museum, and they're going to go through kind of like a little flight training boot camp thing. Now, have you ever flown a plane?
I've never flown a plane. I've been in small planes before, and don't really intend on doing it again because scared the literal crap out of me. But yeah,
I've done it because a friend of mine's a pilot and he has a small pleasure craft, and we've taken it out before.
Yeah,
and he'll let me take over as soon as we're not doing takeoff and landing and all that, and pretty fun. And I'm like, I have no training, so I was actually really interested. I was like, oh, what are these guys like gonna be doing? And it's like a little more movie style stuff. But,
right.
So Glenn Powell and Jay Ellis come out,
who everybody knows from everywhere, right?
No, they came out, and I was like, oh, it's like not Tom Cruise and some other fella.
Yep. They were like,
it turns out they're in the new Top Gun Maverick movie, but I thought these guys were like from some TV show, like just Starsky and Hutch remake that was going on or something. Like I did not recognize them, but somehow Peter did.
Well, that's the funny thing. I think that the producers obviously talked to these guys, right? But here's the thing: has that movie even come out? Like, I don't think that movie's even come out yet. So how would anyone know who these guys are, right?
Yeah, because like I don't know. Like Top Gun. Hang on.
Yeah, I don't think it's out. Hey, Bryce, welcome in. Yeah,
it comes out next May.
There you go. So
next May, not even like. So we got 6 months at least here.
Yep.
So.
I wrote as soon as they said their names, I wrote, who the fuck are these guys?
They came out and people. I just assumed it was one of those things where it's like, oh, we're supposed to know these guys, right? But
yep, no, not so much.
And then I was like, oh, they're actually like in a movie, and like I'm looking at the cast right now. They're like they're like 8th and 9th build.
It seems to me like they're maybe like the young pilots that might be competing for Top Gun.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the trailer either, to be honest.
Me either.
So
I'm a no trailers.
I've got to think they're like, Mav tells us this in the movie and blah 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 about how to fly and how to love, and I'm like, oh man, they just must be the young bucks that still need some coaching from
well, them. the one guy's name is his code name, or his call sign is Payback. So I think that'll play into his character, obviously.
Love it. Well, and so the guys walk out in their flight suits, right? They've got the flight suits, the aviators, and way more gold chains than I think I've ever owned in my whole life. But what I love is that they immediately jump into giving these guys call signs.
I know, but do you notice that most of the guys had like the 3/4 unzipped, kind of just above where their nipples would be? That's how far unzipped they went. And Peter was all the way down to his belly button.
Oh yeah, it was straight
belt buckle. He's like, yeah,
Italian guy in Florida style.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just thought, I was like, that is like so perfectly Peter. I can't even get mad at that.
No, you can't be mad at Doughboy. Come on.
No. But so they start going into, they talk about kind of the training. They're doing push-ups and some sit-ups and high knees, which in those boots don't look very easy to do. Those boots look kind of heavy. So
yeah, I think that was something that Miss Ruthie, my partner, was talking about. She was like, man, they have a lot of gear on to be doing workouts like that. And I think even Michelle sits on Martin during his push-ups, and I'm like, damn, I know the guy's kind of stacked, but Jesus.
He's super stacked. I checked his Instagram. He's an Adonis. Holy crap, man.
Yeah, this makes sense. Most of these guys, like, they kind of play this down a little on the show about just how good looking these guys really are.
Yeah.
But yeah. The one thing before we move on, the call signs, they only gave 3 call signs.
4.
Was it 4?
They did 3, but then through the course of
we find out what Rick's one is, right?
Yeah. So we have Little Willie
for Will. Mm-hmm.
Frosty for Martin. I actually quite like that one.
Frosty's a great call sign.
Little Willie's a bit like, that's something like your uncle or your grandpa might call you when you're like 6 years old.
A little bit of a dig from people his own age, maybe.
Yeah, plus, small wiener jokes.
Exactly.
But Frosty, that's a really good one. I was like, oh, that's a cool one.
I actually like Doughboy too, for Peter.
Doughboy, I didn't mind either, although I think it was it Olumide who was like, where I come from, if you call somebody Doughboy, like, that's a tough name.
Like, you're a tough guy.
Yeah, he's like, that's not Peter.
No. Well, that's the thing about Peter with this tough Italian exterior. You're like, he's kind of he's kind of like chill. He's not that like overly like beefcakey or anything.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so, and then we find out that Rick is Tabletop, which I actually thought was great too.
A fantastic name for Rick. Fantastic.
I was so bummed we didn't get the rest of them. Like, what was Clayton? What was Nate? I went to their Instagrams. Was like checking their stories. I don't follow these guys, so I have to like manually type their names in, and I'm tapping through all their stories. Nothing's coming up. None of them are posting them. I went to the Bachelor Reddit.
Yeah.
Nothing. I went to some recap websites and see spoilers. I was like, I wanted to know the rest of them. Like, this is the stuff that they cut out of the show that I'm always like, why are you cutting this part out?
And you know what I totally expected was them to name all the other call signs in the little funny clip at the end of the show.
In the post-credit scene.
I thought that would have been just gold to show all these guys. But
I was so bummed out.
Yeah.
But so after they give out the call signs, they do a bit of, general fitness training. They stick him in a 0G hamster ball deal.
Well, before that even, Martin pulls Michelle aside.
Oh yes.
And this was what we call the baller move of the date, right? Where Martin pulls her aside after all of the drama from the last date and says, hey, how are you feeling? Are you okay? I think she even gave him a little love on him being that way when she gave him the rose. Because I think he said something to the fact of like, you got this or something like that. But like, good guy like baller move on Martin's part to like pull her aside during a time where she's still feeling a little weird about the last night. So
Yeah, no.
goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. And I like Martin. Martin's becoming like a favorite
He is,
of
and
mine.
I think he might be moving his way up too.
I didn't think much of him for her early on, but like he's definitely climbing that ladder. He's making some strides here. So
absolutely. So then it goes into the GeForce simulator, as you were talking about.
Yeah, and to me, like some of those guys were freaking out. They're like, "Oh, I don't want to do this." I'm like, "Man, that looks fun." When I go to the carnival, my favorite rides are the ones where you spin around in a circle and go upside down and backwards and all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't care about roller coasters. I don't care about like the squirt gun game. Just let me find the stuff that whips me around in a circle really fast.
So you clearly have no inner ear issues. That's good.
No, I don't.
That's good. I don't really either, but man, I kind of felt for Will on this one. I was more of the like, I see that Zero or that GeForce simulator, and I'm like, nope, not for me.
Yeah, so he was. Most of the guys did it just fine.
Yeah, I think oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and the gimmick was that they had to, while spinning around and being flung around in this thing, had to also, like, tell Michelle how much she means to them and how important and amazing she is and blah, blah, blah. And so...
Which I thought was a little cheesy, but, you know, like, they can't ask them to do much more than that while they're being spun around.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to do math like in her classroom stuff, you know what I mean?
See, that's what I was kind of hoping.
Oh, really?
Like, hopefully she has some, like trivia or like first grader questions, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some simple stuff, but unfortunately now they do that. And then that's where the drama starts this episode.
Yes.
Because Peter, our lovely Italian fella who is so much himself, gets in there and starts speaking Italian, saying all the sweet nothings in the world in Italian.
Well, and all I thought of was your meme that you posted, which was Italian noises.
Yeah.
He's saying Italian noises again.
Yeah. Inarticulate Italian noises.
That's what it was. Inarticulate Italian noises. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And then he's followed up by Will, who gets in and basically pulls the same gimmick, but speaks Spanish.
I mean, I hate to say it, Spanish is a more romantic sounding language than Italian is to me. They're both pretty close, to be fair, but I feel like Spanish is like sexier. So
I think it's all on the accent.
Totally.
I think if you got like the real like kind of that deep sexy Spanish voice, you know, or like if it's French, you know, that softer French accent.
True,
you know, I think it kind of comes to that versus Peter just has a much more of an aggressive tone about the way he speaks, right?
Yeah, so. and you know, to go with that, Will not only like was clearly the most apprehensive, and I think that Michelle knew that. For him to push through that was like Peter, you could tell, didn't give a shit, right? Like he was like, spinning, then that's fine. But Will actually had to kind of push through it emotionally a little bit. And then she's like, "Do you need a bucket?" And Will goes, "I need you."
I was like, "Oh, good job, bud. Nailed it."
He's on his feet. He's thinking, and good job, Will. So date kind of moves on to what I called the American Gladiators Bachelorette edition, where we see the aggression that the men can get out with these they're like those
Q-tip things,
Q-tip type foam aggression tools, we'll call them.
Yeah.
And the first one is Clayton versus Nate. And man, our boy Nate is running free and running on top in this season. But for a guy that's 6'8", he has no physicality to him. You know what I mean? He just tall.
Basketball. Yeah, and then and like the thing about Clayton though is Clayton's not that much shorter. Clayton's got to be like 6'5".
He's huge and 100 pounds heavier.
Yeah, and he's got big football shoulders and a big football back and arms and chest and all that.
Yep.
And you can just tell, like, he went into, like, tackling mode, and Nate was like, "Oh, I'm out of this."
Yep. And if I'm Nate there and I see Clayton coming, I'm like, you know what? Just knock me off. Like, quick, easy, move on to the next guy. I'm cool, man.
I'm going to make it look good, but this is yours, you know, kind of wrestling thing, you know. It's like, all
Oh
right,
yeah.
I'll sell for you, you know, you hit your moves.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then a couple more matches go through that are, yeah, more or less what you'd expect, right? Like certain people being a little more aggressive than others. But it comes to the reason we're all here, which is
Main event.
Will versus Peter, right?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
Will sweeps him 3-0.
Which I have to say, I was a little bit surprised. I thought that Peter's aggressive nature might just be enough to get him going, but I think Will's
Peter
a little
went in
bit
high.
bigger dude, you know, and clearly a little more muscly. So yeah, it was a clean
And
sweep.
Will stayed low. He kind of kept his center of gravity a bit lower.
Yeah.
And Peter kind of was like trying to come over top, and that's no recipe for success.
Exactly. So Will, it's one of those ones where they do these competitions that are clearly not in a like tournament format. They just have all these run, and then it's kind of like, oh, let's let the guest hosts say who did the best, right?
Yeah.
And so our Will wins the first part of the date, between his sweet talk in the 0G, as well as his brute force against Peter, but gets himself a dope ass bomber jacket with a rose on it. I was like,
absolutely.
At first I didn't see the rose part, and I was like, ooh, I that's a jacket I'd actually wear.
Yeah, it looked good, man.
Yeah.
And then and then they get to go out drive. It looked like a classic Ferrari.
It's a Porsche.
Oh, is that a Porsche?
Mm-hmm. I think it's like a late.
Look at the logo.
So I tried to look it up. Porsche from Top Gun Maverick, but again, the movie hasn't actually played yet, so I couldn't find out what it was. But I think it's like a late '60s, maybe early '70s.
It kind of had that
Porsche.
look to it. Almost similar to like the classic Aston Martin in a James Bond movie.
Exactly.
Similar style. And they go for a rip up and down the landing strip out there.
Yep, like, with the Top Gun music going in the background, which was like chef's kiss.
Top Gun music?
Yeah, they had
okay. I thought it was, legally distinct Top Gun music. So
no, they got the rights to it. Obviously, must be to promote the Maverick movie. They were like, you know what? Go ahead and use that, because I think it was later in. We'll talk a little more about the music later in the night part of the date. But I think they did get the rights for sure.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool then.
Yeah. So yeah, Will and Michelle kiss right off into the sunset. Have their lovely little moment. And then it kind of kicks over into the night portion of the date, where Clayton is our first one to sit down and, give Michelle some love. First time we've really seen Clayton step up to the plate, let's say. He's kind of just been riding on his looks until now, riding on his beefcakeness, because this was the first interaction, I think.
It looks that way. We probably know it hasn't been the only one they've had.
Right.
But it sure looks that way. And for the guy that's going to be the next Bachelor, man, I could not be more indifferent to this guy.
So far, yeah.
There's not even like I don't like this guy, maybe I'll hate watch it. There's no, I like this guy, I want to see what happens. It's just like complete indifference. Like,
oh yeah,
he's like a piece of white bread with some butter and a room temperature glass of water. Like,
well, and it's funny because Bachelor Nation definitely agrees with you. I was looking at Twitter and they're just like, really, this guy? All of these like spicy, amazing people of color that are in this season. Like, there's so many good looking dudes that are like well spoken and kind of funny and have a little edge to them here and there. And they're like, and we get the Wonder Bread. Great.
I don't want to get into certain things, but let's just say they did just have a black Bachelor.
Of course, so I think they're trying to,
probably
they're balancing it out for sure.
Let's get back to what we normally do.
And I get it, like the formula of the show is so deeply rooted in the Christian South kind of BS that I get it. You kind of have to kowtow to those viewers a little bit. So I'm just hoping that Clayton has a little more to him, maybe a little more layers than we know about, because
I hope so. And his season's gonna be made or broken on the women anyway, It's usually comes down to
100%.
the cast, and as long as he provides enough personality to kind of keep things going. So
Yeah, and I
yeah,
could have called Michelle even a little boring in her season with Matt James.
yeah,
I could have called her even just a little bit like, oh, little meh. And she clearly is just right for the lead. So, and
yeah.
welcome in, Leopard Lady. Hello, hello. So yeah, Clayton sits with her. They have a good time. They spin and get dizzy because she didn't get to do that, right? Which I thought was a little cute. And
I thought that was pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, Clayton, good job.
He's got a little bit of game to him for sure.
Yeah.
Then it goes over to what we both kind of consider the front runner, Mr. Nate, where they kiss, and they clearly have like a pretty good vibe. Like I feel like every time they meet, it's like, hello, old friend, kind of kissy stuff.
Instant easy chemistry.
Absolutely, which honestly, like that's the number one thing early on in relationships, right? Is that just clickable chemistry. So then our boy Joe comes up next, says he's checking in on her, doing everything, but kind of boring version of Joe. Nothing really much to it, honestly.
I wonder if he was maybe trying to dial things back a little bit, because she did admit that, yeah, she kind of knew of Joe.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if maybe he was like, maybe I'll just dial things back.
Fade into the background for a little while.
Yeah, I'll still put all my effort in when I'm around her, but maybe I'll just, lean back a little bit more instead of lean forward. So
absolutely. But then we get back to the good stuff, which is Will v. Peter, round 3 of this date. They sort of gab at each other, obviously still talking shit, and it's, Peter, Will, you're a jerk. Will, Peter, all you talk about is pizza. We do get the fun line that Peter says, which is, we're going to change lives one slice at a time, when talking about his pizza empire, right?
His 3 locations.
Oh, man, he's going to take over the world with that pizza. But my favorite throughout this whole thing is Nate, who's sitting in between them.
I've got a note written down.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just have Nate, Martin, and Olu all just completely... I don't have the glasses on, but like they're just completely straight-faced and they're Jim Halperting basically.
Okay.
Through
which is a foreshadow actually of something that I want to say about one of the contestants, by the way.
Oh yeah.
But I love Nate during this. He breaks the fourth wall where he looks straight at the camera, just with this like total Jim Halpert vibe.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're all just kind of making that straight face, and it's.
Yep.
Like I would have been doing the same thing too. Like I probably would have tried to grab a camera at some point and been like,
lock on a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So then it kind of kicks over to Martin, right? And Martin and Michelle have a really good time. She says obviously that she loved him pulling her aside throughout the Top Gun date. She says he has layers and depth and all of this, and I'm like, yeah, he has a little bit of mystery to him for sure, with all that. The one other note that I had about Martin, other than the fact that they clearly are super attracted to each other, is it a rose that's tattooed on Martin's like back neck?
Yeah,
I think it's a rose.
I thought it was a rose too.
A little foreshadowing from his life, maybe. Yeah. He's hopefully. Like, man, I got a rose on my neck, guys. Put me on the show. Let's do this thing. But I thought that was pretty good.
So, and they have like something I noticed with them is like they have a very different vibe to the rest of the other two. Like, because Martin, he doesn't look like a guy that would be so soft spoken and kind of emotionally intelligent. And
he's very chill. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not trying to shit on the guy, but you see some kind of, Latinx fella with kind of the razor thing going through the eyebrow, shave stuff side, bleach top, beard,
stereotypical
jewelry.
Stuff. Yep.
You just, your brain fills in a picture of that guy.
Yeah. No, you'd expect him to be a little more aggressive.
Yeah, he's really soft spoken, and I'm like, damn, man, you're killing it. It's really impressing me.
Yep, I love it. And then sort of goes over to the, back to, Peter. It just never gets away from Peter and Will. Peter walks over to Will's jacket while Will is talking to Michelle. And, go ahead.
one thing I was gonna say is,
Yes.
so he does this, and he starts, wearing it and kind of like talking some mad shit while Will's not there.
Yep.
But what I really liked is that the rest of the guys, I forget who was sitting down at the time. There's only 3 of them, I think, or maybe 4 of them.
There was a handful.
But
Yep.
none of them reinforced him on it.
They laughed a little. They were just kind of like, but it was like nervous laughter, right?
But nobody was like, yeah, man, do your thing.
Get his jacket, bro. No, there was none of that.
Yeah, they were all just like, man, just focus on yourself. Focus on yourself. Put this energy into Michelle. And I actually really like that the guys, and it wasn't even like they were defending Will as much as they were just saying, this is annoying.
We don't want it to ruin our night. Yeah, we don't want it to be about this, bro. Yeah, it's a really as amazing as Michelle has been. This group of guys is like great job cast. Producers that cast this, they did a really good job.
2 of the last 3 seasons, The Bachelorette have had really good chill groups of dudes. Like Claire and Tasha had really good chill, like mature sets of guys, and then this season as well. So
yeah, I think it speaks to a lot of the like, they don't want these men anymore, the Chads of the world that are these beef bros with red flags up and down them. Like that's not that's really not what the world is anymore. Like those aren't the pretty boy good. I mean they're still pretty boys, but they're this sort of like fuck boy attitude is not what the Bachelor's going for anymore. They're going for like, hey man, if you're gonna stick around, be somewhat genuine, right?
Yeah, no, it's been good.
Yep,
I like it.
So yes, so Peter grabs Will's jacket and walks over to the pool, right? Throws it in there like it's nothing, and comes back, and the boys are like, "What did you do with his jacket, you buffoon?" Basically, and then I feel like this was something with the producers or the edits or something, because the producers were probably like, "Okay, Peter, now you go talk to Michelle," and then they get Will coming back, and Will's like, "Hey, bros, where the fuck is my jacket?" Right?
Yeah.
So
they tell him, and then Nate even tells him like, "Hey, man, just focus on yourself. Just chill. Don't give that guy."
Such good advice.
Yeah. And I liked how Will was like, "I agree. I just need to go kind of blow off some steam and let a few things out.
I need a moment, right?" And good for him.
And like that's like I love seeing that, because I think it's not like he told Nate like, "Shut up, man, you don't know, blah blah blah." He was like, "Yeah, I get it, and I'm mature enough to realize that. At the same time, just give me 5 minutes."
I hear you, but I need to vent, bro. Yeah, no, for sure.
He goes off to the lobby in the hotel or something. And looks like he just paces around a bit and kind of maybe just gets.
This guy's pushing my buttons, man.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that.
He lets it out. It out. It's all good. And then when Michelle comes in at the end to hand out the group date rose, he doesn't bring it up. Peter doesn't bring it up.
Cool as a cucumber, Will. Like
they just keep it all chill. Now he can tell he's a little bit pissed still, but he just
rightfully so.
He doesn't let it get to Michelle. He realizes this is drama between me and Peter. Michelle doesn't need this. She doesn't need to have her night ruined. She doesn't need to worry about our quibbles and quabbles, right?
Yep. So. Will does the thing that I've been screaming at contestants for on previous seasons for years, which is when the drama happens between you and somebody else, don't make it about that. Just turn it right back to you and Michelle, and that's what Will did. And kudos, because I think that's one of the first times I've actually seen somebody kind of rise above like that and be like, well, I know if I don't, like, because he actually had a moment with Michelle, whereas Peter had fuck all, right? And so I
had no chemistry.
Very impressive. I think Will, if he does not win, which I don't think he probably will, he's gonna get himself a lot of DMs because of that strong behavior, for sure.
Yeah, he'll get himself on Paradise, and there'll be definitely a good group of ladies looking to get to know him.
Yep. So end of the date comes. Martin ends up getting the group date rose, right? For early baller moves / makeout sessions during the night date. So then Martin gets another additional, like, this was interesting that this group date had so many. I felt like it was the longest group date I've seen in a really long time.
Yeah, especially compared to the one later in this episode.
Yep, I marked it down that the first group date took like 32 minutes or something like that, which was longer than both the one-on-one and other group date combined, which is kind of interesting. But they end up going, Martin and Michelle, to go to this like dance and make out with a string quartet, and sure enough, playing the Top Gun music, the official Top Gun music. So pretty good on them. Yeah.
So we've gone from no-name musical guest to who knows who the string quartet is, but they're playing real music, you know?
Thank God.
And yeah, down for that, man. Absolutely down for that.
Love it.
So
date card comes to the rest of the guys, right? Everybody's hoping for their one-on-one, and sure enough, it's motherfucking Rodney time.
Team Rodney,
which I'm gonna go ahead and take my glasses off at this point. At this portion.
We're done with these.
But yes, Rodney, our lovable friend, who is, you know, we're all rooting for him. Okay.
He's just such a good guy. Like I've said it before, he's the kind of guy where like, Rodney, I've just bought a new couch. Can you help me move it in? He's like, yeah, man, I'll help you move your couch.
I got some muscles in a truck, of course.
Yeah, and it's just the thing. We're like, oh man, hang out. Let me buy you a pizza. And he's like, nah, I can't today. Another day. You're like, geez, that Rodney, what a great guy.
Sheesh. Right. Totally.
So yeah. Something about this date. What time was it? Was it at dusk? Was it at dawn? I could not figure that out.
So that was one of my first notes as well, which was, did they short our boy Rodney on a full day date? Because I think they did.
They had 2.5 hours.
I feel like and it's happened before, especially during the quarantine seasons, right? Yeah. Where, like, I think I recall one date during Matt James' version of The Bachelor where they just hung out in the evening at his house and just like cooked and made out.
Him and Kate,
Kit.
Yeah. They like cooked dinner and made cookies and then like cuddled on the couch.
Which, don't get me wrong, awesome first date, especially in seclusion like that. But
and then Michelle came in an episode later and got a hot air balloon ride and horse riding and stuff or whatever.
And like we look at Jamie's episode, made cookies. Yes, indeed. Jamie, the previous episode, got to go to fucking Joshua Tree, right? Like this epic place that some people thought was mythical, right? But our boy Rodney, not only does it start at like dusk, basically, right?
Or dawn,
or maybe it was dawn. I don't know. It was a strange date, to say the least.
Because she was walking outside and it was dark out, and I was like, I can't tell if that's the sun going down or the sun coming up.
I think it was, but yeah, definitely a shorter version. The other point I had when the date first got started was Rodney's shirt. Are we going bowling anytime soon? Because Rodney, like, make me love you more. I can't. It's not possible. Let's go bowling, and then you can help me move. Okay.
Yeah, he's got. I don't want to say he doesn't have fashion sense, but he has such like a normal guy vibe to his clothing and to his suits that he's wearing.
Yep.
Where a lot of the guys wear these really nice tailored, thin, slim fit stuff,
sexy European cut kind of stuff.
And then it's just like Rodney in like a normal shirt. Like, got it like the Tommy Hilfiger outlet or something,
Absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
Just, but
so,
they do like a truth or dare date.
Yes, they do.
Which was pretty cool, actually. So they go around, they start off with a blind feeding, which
strange.
Was kind of a callback to Michelle blind feeding him apples and pizza.
Very, very cute. Very cute.
And then he has like pizza, salad, French fries.
I'm not familiar with pizza. I think it's called lasagna.
Yes, he had lasagna.
Okay, good. We're clear.
But yeah. And then they do like opening giant gifts, but they're handcuffed.
Yeah.
But it's like
I felt like he kind of got hosed a little here.
I did too.
Like man, some producer put this together in like, a couple of hours. Be like, break the boxes and find the key to unlatch yourselves.
You know what I'm starting to think about? I wonder if they had something else planned and it got canceled because of complications going off site.
Could be.
And they were like, oh shit, what do we do now? On site, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if something like that happened because the weird time, the nondescript weirdo time of day, the fact that all of this looks like stuff that they threw together in 15, 20 minutes, you
Yep.
know.
Yep.
I
I
wonder if
think you're
maybe they
right.
had that. Yeah,
Well, I mean,
possibly.
and even the next portion, right, gives the same vibe, which is like, Rodney, get naked and run around.
Go
It's like,
streaking through the hotel.
and don't get me wrong, like, I think a lot of these things, the producers are smart because they're like, these are things, and as shown by like the previous 4 previews that this was in, right? A guy running around naked and Michelle saying, this is our journey, Rodney, looks and fits a package so well together. Maybe maybe not his package, but yeah, I don't know. But literally fits that edit so well that they're like, do something goofy, and we'll cut it up and it'll be awesome, right?
Well, that's like when you watch a movie and you're like, that action shot, did that one just for the trailer because that was a good hook,
Yeah,
like
but
similar vibe.
And it ended up giving that vibe of the like, this is the date where all of the fun things were told in the preview, so we kind of know what happens, right?
Yeah, we're almost running out of like preview scenes. Like they've kind of been burning through them. So
yeah, for sure.
Jacket Gate, Naked Rodney. I mean,
well, and we'll talk about even one more that they burned through in this episode later, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so Rodney does the pillow run naked, all of this stuff. Interesting. Again, this sort of tells, I don't know if it was edited strangely or whatever, but it cuts to them in her bedroom suite. And it's like them hanging out and talking. And there was some really sweet things, don't get me wrong. Like he talks about his biggest fear, dying before he becomes a father and husband, right? But it was strange that they didn't go to dinner first. It was like straight to this bedroom scene.
Yeah, and it was a bit weird. But I mean, they have their conversations and then they go, and I forget exactly when the conversation took place, but they have like a very like mature conversation about what it's like kind of being a mixed person and then also going, being in a lot of white schools and a lot of white friend groups.
Yep.
And kind of how that's played into things. I thought that was like kind of interesting because, we'll cover it again later. But again, it's just something where it's like I have no perspective on that, so actually find this conversation quite interesting, right?
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. As two white straight men, it's a little hard to know what a lot of these folks have to go through, right?
Well, and it's like it's not even like I live in a super diverse place either. Like it's just the way it is. I live in northern Canada.
Right.
Like,
right.
It's, I've got, in my friend group, I've got a whole bunch of white dudes, a whole bunch of white girls, one Spanish friend, one Asian friend. And that's not because I've been, didn't like those types of people or whatever.
It's just what there was.
Like there's just not that many around, right?
Yep.
And so the ones
and it was the same, like,
meet.
I grew up in Montana. So same thing. I'm super thankful I live in Seattle now, so that like all of my friend groups and just generalized population is so much more diverse, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying. Is like we don't know what it's like to grow up in those situations, especially. But yeah, so they go through this little section. They end up having dinner, right? And they have all these good conversations. She says something about the effect of that she loves that he's playful, because that's what her parents are. They've laughed together through most of their 40-year relationship or whatever it is.
Like that, yeah.
And I completely agree. I feel like the best relationships, if you're able to laugh with the person, it goes a long way to make life a lot easier to live, right?
For sure.
So
yeah, no, they have a great chat. And she even mentions that Rodney was kind of in the friend zone.
Yeah, he was, which Malik talked about earlier.
Yeah, but they talked that over the course of the date and having the chance to have those conversations.
Yep.
He kind of moved into the relationship zone.
Busting through the wall like a Kool-Aid man, our boy Rodney. Bless him.
Thankfully not like Shockmaster.
Yeah. Love it.
And he gets the rose at the end. Good guy, Rodney.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's so in love too. Like he's head over heels.
Yep. It's clear. I don't know if he's a front runner. I feel like he's one that could kind of go one way or the other over the next few weeks. But yeah, I'm glad that she found it, because it was clear that she had this idea of him as like We're kind of friendly, we're kind of flirty,
He's the
but
goofy, nice guy.
do I actually want to marry the guy, right?
Yeah.
And if it had clearly not gone one sort of way, he probably would have been going home.
Mhm.
So,
And I was actually thinking about this. When was the last time we had like a date elimination?
it's been a while.
Because I can't think of one, man. Like I
There was
almost have
some
to go
on
back to Colton's season.
No, there was one on Katie's season, I think.
Was there?
Yeah, where they just didn't
it.
click. But honestly, to your point, I can't really remember it, so maybe not.
So I thought that this might have had the chance to be the first date elimination in a while. So
for sure. So next up, group date number 2, we have Jamie, Leroy, Chris G, Casey, Malik, Chris S, putting the Chris's on the same date. God bless him. Brandon as well as Romeo. And they jump into this date, and I think it said, the date card says, I didn't actually write this one down, but something to the effect of like, tell me how you feel kind of stuff, or tell me about you kind of stuff.
Something like that. I didn't write it down either.
Yeah. So they walk into this theater, and there's this dude doing spoken word poetry, right?
Rudy Francisco.
Which,
and
amazing name.
My guy, Chris G, recognizes him immediately and starts having a little mark out moment. And I was like, oh, Chris G, I love it, man. You're the best.
He's cultured, that Chris G.
He's my Canadian. He's my Canadian, man.
Oh, he's going strong. He's going strong.
And he had a strong showing on this date, too.
Absolutely, he did.
Yeah.
And the other side, well, my first note on the Rudy Francisco was, who the fuck is that, of course. But I also don't know the world of spoken word. I didn't even get to go delve into it in research. So if he is a really big deal, that's super cool. If he's a random dude that they found that is like, his spoken word was really dope, good for him.
The fact that Chris G recognized him, like on sight, went, oh, that's Rudy Francisco, like didn't look like he was prompted, makes me think that this guy must be pretty well known in that kind of world.
And it wasn't done in post-production like Peter's, oh my God, it's so-and-so and so-and-so from Maverick. It was done like, oh, in the moment. He saw him, he knew him. For sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that makes us 3 for 3 with celebrities that have been recognized. Even if it was in post, they, fed someone a script. But at least 3 for 3 that, we're usually on this show. It's like, here's this guy from Las Vegas off-strip magic show. He's going to teach us to do some tricks.
Yep.
Something like that. So I thought that was pretty good that we went 3 for 3. And with the licensed Top Gun music.
Absolutely, yeah. They're doing well. They're putting some maybe the less budget in the travel, more budget in some other stuff. I like it.
Yeah.
The next note I had before the guys go into because they're basically being told that they're going to go up on stage and talk the same sort of spoken word. Tell me about you kind of stuff, right?
Break down some walls, be vulnerable.
Absolutely.
All those buzzwords they love on the show.
Before all of that, though, there was a quick little clip, and the only reason I wrote it down is because it's Leroy, who has barely talked in the show the whole time. And
I wrote down, who's this? And then his name card came up.
Yep.
I was like, okay.
I wrote down, he's alive, and he's here, and he has a voice. So I had to get Leroy in there. But yeah, let's jump into the guys doing their poems.
Yeah, so I don't have too many notes because like Jordan gets up there, he does a pretty decent one. Some of the guys you don't even hear anything.
Do you mean Brandon?
Brandon, sorry.
Yes,
Brandon,
okay. Yeah, Brandon.
I don't know why I keep wanting to call him Jordan.
That's okay. That's okay.
But yeah, Brandon gets up there. He does a pretty good one.
His was beautiful.
Off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. Because like if I was on this date, like I can write, like I used to do some freelance writing. I can write easy peasy. If it's about a topic, I can speak off the cuff, easy peasy. But to do a poem or something, like, man,
it's hard.
I don't know what I would come up with, and I'm glad that I wasn't on this date because we saw what happens when someone doesn't know what to do. And not that I would have been that bad, but I probably would have ended up going the comedy route. Who knows how that would have played.
Yeah, and some of the guys had their own little, like Chris G, your boy.
He killed it.
He went comedy route. He called himself a maple leaf. He was like
but at
perfect
the
like
same time,
balance between comedy
there
and
was like metaphor in there too, because he was like, I'm the maple leaf and you're the crayon. There's this thin sheet of paper that you're tracing over, and then we got to get that wall out of the way. And it's like,
it was
okay,
awesome.
yeah, it's like, man, like you could tell like he's probably he obviously knew this Rudy Francisco guy, because he obviously was familiar with poetry and how to do it, kind
Yeah.
of the structure of it. But then also to come up with that, it's like, and he had the speech pattern now, that kind of that slam poetry. I'm gonna talk and then we're gonna get things through, like that kind of
Yeah.
down.
It was
Like
awesome.
he did great. And then so there's some guys that kind of cut over, like Chris S. I don't know what he was doing.
Chris S hasn't gotten since the very beginning. He hasn't gotten anything.
No.
Yep.
So eventually, that brings us to Jamie.
Oof.
And before this, though, I have some notes on Jamie, which is, geez, guy's a bit high on his own farts. Next line, Jamie just talk less. And then we come to his poetry, where he goes, yo, I forgot my book. I'm just gonna go off the cuff. And it's like,
oh,
all right. And he doesn't even do a poem. Like Jordan straight up calls it. He's like, yeah, not Jordan. Brandon straight up calls it. He's like, yeah, he's just doing a TED talk up there. I don't know what he's going on about. Something about a tree and a path.
It was a parable. He told a parable as a something that's supposed to be from the heart. And it was brutal to listen to. It was like, hey, he's going into CEO mode. Great.
Yeah, he full on went business speaker at a conference. Ugh, I hated it.
Yep. But thankfully, it was followed up by Michelle, and she had some amazing things to talk about her being brought up in an extremely white centric community, right? Being the token black girl. We've all seen those 90s movies where there's one token actress, of course, right? And that
South
was
Park,
yeah.
It was such a joke at that point, or such a commonality, that South Park literally named their black student Token, right?
Yep. So
like that's what it was like back then.
And I can't imagine growing up like that and having to feel that way. But she said she was never asked out on dates to the apple orchard, which I think the apple theme keeps coming back, which is pretty cute.
There was a promo at some point, promo clip where she's on a date with somebody at an apple orchard. So
I think we're gonna see it. That's for sure. For sure. But yeah, so that was sort of group date number 2. Nothing too much more to talk about that. No, we get to the night part of it though.
Yeah. She sits down with them all. Jordan is super involved.
Brandon.
Like I wrote Jordan down. Gosh, I don't know what is wrong with me. Was there a Jordan on this season?
I'm not sure. I don't know
why. I don't know why my brain keeps calling him Jordan.
It's okay.
Brandon is head over heels. Like there's probably like a half a dozen guys that are like head over heels.
And I have to say this, almost the same amount for her to be like really into too.
Yeah, and
like she has a lot of men that she's into and they're into her.
Yeah, that's the crazy part, is how much she's giving back. It's not like sometimes where the guys are head over heels and she's like, yeah, that's great, thank you.
Yep, I just want to go with Jordan Rogers. It's fine.
Yeah.
But no, like I thought that I wrote down some of the kind of the same things as Brandon. Like he kind of brings up like that he grew up in sort of a similar world to her, right? Mm-hmm. Which is this predominantly white school and he's very light skinned for, obviously I think he's a mixed race, but he's a black man, right?
Yeah.
And that he was told, you can't be black, you can't be this, you can't be that, or
you're not even black, because he was so like light skinned,
right?
Racially, right? Yeah. So
yeah, but thankfully he was comforted thereafter by an intense makeout session, mm-hmm. which is great for the two of them. I didn't see him as one that was going to catch her eye, and I'm really glad he is, because he seems like a really just well-rounded dude.
Yeah, he seems like he's a little bit baby-faced, And
I think that's what probably threw me off a little bit, is Michelle's very, like, I don't know how to put this, very adult,
she's very like ladylike.
She looks like she's looking for a dude that is like, I don't know, a little older, maybe a little whatever, but that's my stereotype stuff.
We've talked about this off air before, but I mentioned how, like, on the show, I like the ladies that are women and not the ladies that are girls on the
Right.
show.
Right.
And Michelle's very much more of a woman, where
Yes.
you get to freaking Peter season there, and it was just like a bunch of freaking catty or not frat sorority girls. Just,
Exactly.
ugh,
Exactly.
yeah.
So,
So
that goes really well for them. Of course, then it cuts to Jamie and his farts, saying it isn't a competition between him and the men. I think there's a little that kind of moves on really quickly, and Casey, it kind of goes to Casey, which we haven't seen much of Casey talking to her, but a little funny moment with his shirt matching the couch, which I thought was kind of funny.
I loved his pineapple shirt. I loved it. Yeah.
He seems like I think he's a guy that might have a lot of fun in Paradise, and just be this kind of laid back, clearly a little bit older dude. I think he was like 30. There you go. I thought it was 36, but he's doing fine, it seems. So that's good.
He might enjoy Paradise. But at the same time, maybe he's just like, after the show, I'm just gonna go back home.
Yep. Yep.
So.
And then the next one who we got to see for a second time really quickly was Leroy, and he gives her a kente cloth, which I actually did a little bit of research. That's the one with all the really cool African pattern on it. Apparently, it's a cloth from West Africa. I think it's Kenya. That's one of the big areas. But I looked it up, and it says basically these cloths carry a deep significance to every person that wears them. The pattern, color, and shape each has a specific meaning, like each one, and says something about the person that's wearing it. And then it also symbolizes their status as well. I don't know if that's like, romantic or otherwise, but it says it can represent a story or an anecdote or stuff as well. So I found that really cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember seeing one of those at like a nerd convention one time, but it had like different like nerd stuff was kind of like worked into it.
Yeah.
So to learn that it's like, I thought that was just like, they kind of took an African design and put some nerd shit on it. I didn't know that it was actually like a very traditional, meaningful piece of its heritage, I guess you could call it.
Definitely. Yeah. So I found that kind of cool. Something I definitely wanted, because when he said and I probably butchered the pronunciation, but when he said it, I was like, I want to look that up. I think that's a nice piece. But so night keeps going on.
I've got nothing until the rose here.
So. Okay. So the last thing I'll say is Jamie's still acting cocky, and hangs out with her a little bit, and then the grossest kiss on the show so far. He ends up like almost licking her lips with his tongue before actually kissing her. And I just remember because Miss Ruthie and I were watching it, and she looks over at me and she's just like, ugh. So found that kind of funny.
That wasn't great.
But yeah, then the rose comes out.
Ghosted my boy Jordan. Fuck, Brandon.
Brandon.
He was one of my picks from episode 0 too. Like our
preview. He was
one of my picks, and I keep screwing him up. I've got him and Chris G left. Like, I don't know why I keep calling him Jordan now.
But yeah, no, he like second group date rose for him too, which she doesn't
uncommon.
She doesn't have a one-on-one with him yet. Obviously there's only been 2 of them, but if he's on the group dates and he's getting group date roses and not needing a one-on-one, that means he's in a really goddamn good place.
Yeah. So they're connecting. There's a lot there.
Yep. And then the last bit of the date is our boy Jamie again. What is he?
After the rose ceremony, they're all walking back, and he's kind of lagging behind.
Oof. Yeah.
And he flags a producer down, going like, "Hey, we need to go talk." And then he says he's like, "Yeah, none of these guys are in my league.
Can't hold a candle to me." Yeah.
Yeah. Can't. And then he says something about Brandon. Something I can't forget exactly what he said. Says something.
I think he basically was like, "Brandon's here. I'm here." Like in terms of like giving the hand signals. It was.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they kind of just general talk shit for a bit, and then calls like, Michelle, she's just in spring break mode right now.
Harsh.
Like,
harsh.
Yeah. Like I kind of get like. That's part of being the lead on the show, though, is you get to be in spring break mode. You get to have some fun, meet a bunch of people, kiss around, do your thing. Like,
Yeah.
that's something I that's the part of the show I like, is when people are open to that. It's when the show starts feeling like people are ashamed to be in spring break mode, even especially on Paradise. That's when I get annoyed. I'm like,
Yep.
no, have fun, open up, do your thing.
It's a TV show at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I feel like those that can treat it as not only a serious thing to find somebody, but also like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah.
So.
And you know, like I guess there is always the producer manipulation you have to be
Totally.
aware of, but this seems
Totally.
very self-inflicted. Like, this isn't. It seems like like I said, he's been high on his own farts all episode.
Yeah.
He's talking way too much.
Way too
so my sympathy for producer games that could be messing with them is pretty minuscule.
Nothing.
You know?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Essentially.
It's like 2%. I'll give him 2%, but
fair enough.
Yeah, no, 98% of that.
Yep.
Is, yeah.
So jumps into the cocktail party. Of course, Jamie speaks first. He talks about himself in the third person. I don't really want to talk too much more about Jamie until the last little bit here.
We'll close on him in a bit. But what we should talk about is the dress.
The sparkly dress.
Okay. So, night 1, I said that was like one of the best looks.
Yep.
You agreed. Night 2 or Rose Ceremony 2, whatever you want to call it. F2. You thought that dress was better than night 1.
I thought it was the most like banging dress. Like she was just fire in that dress for sure.
So, where do you put this one?
This one I this one I don't put at the same level as the other two. No? Like, I probably would have given, I don't want to give numbers to the first two, but I definitely would have put them really, really high. So this one, this one I'm going to give a 7 out of 10 roses.
Okay.
For the dress, because it's got two really great types of sparkles. I liked how it was like one strip of sparkles and then a lower part, but still, like, she's a gorgeous woman. So yeah, there you go.
Gorgeous. But
how about yourself?
No, I'm gonna read my notes verbatim. Holy shit! This dress tops night 1.
Oh,
remarkable! Look at that leg coming out.
Oh, damn. Okay.
This is like, and it wasn't even like. This was like she walked on screen and I was like, oh wow, holy moly.
Fair enough.
So like night 1 for me was like a 8 and let's call it 8 roses.
Yeah.
This, I don't know if she'll top this dress for me. That's
interesting. Okay.
Like,
so we know two things about Adam so far. He likes sparkles and he likes a whole lot of leg.
Oh, I've always been into leg, man.
There you go. There you go. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So
okay.
But yeah, so this is like I'm gonna call it 9 out of 10 roses for this dress.
Okay.
But that's just because I want to leave the door open to be blown away.
There could be something even
down
better.
The line, right? I don't want to completely close the door and be like, geez, now I've got to give an 11 or a 12.
That's fair.
But like,
that's very fair.
This to me was like, like I'd forget my name. I wouldn't know what language I speak.
It's clear I like the slinkier dresses, and you like the sparkles and the leg. I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, cocktail party starts or continues on. Nate is the one to grab her first, right? Clearly, her and Nate are in an amazing place, right?
Oh yeah.
Immediately he goes to her and he says, like, we have this great connection, but let's go run away. And she starts like taking off her shoes immediately, and I'm like, what the hell? She's taking off her shoes, and sure enough, they go run away, right?
Yeah.
And
that poor cameraman had to follow.
Yeah. Oh, and he was smooth too. I don't know if it was a good gimbal on the camera, but it wasn't like shaking all up and down, right?
Cam. He held it pretty stable.
Clean cameraman. But this sort of speaks back to what we were talking about, is them blowing their load with the frickin' like preview cuts, because these two running away was like, bad shit's happening. Cut to this, cut to that for the preview, and then it's Nate and her running away.
Yeah.
Right.
Plus, we're through the poetry, which they've used a lot. Too.
Yep. That too. Well, it's funny because after Colton's jumping the fence, taking most of the season,
It took the entire season. That was like the finale, wasn't it?
It was.
Or maybe the second to last episode.
And don't get me wrong, it was one of the better like height jumps I've seen in reality television.
Well, because he got away from them. Like,
oh yeah,
Chris Harrison standing there was like, we got to find this guy. And it's they're not putting it on. It's actually, he just hopped the fence. We got to get this fence open, and we don't know where this guy ran off to. And then they found him in like a bush sitting down.
Right,
like,
right. So yeah, I thought it was cool though. They obviously go off into the palm trees and make out a bunch, and she says she can trust him, which I thought was big after last week, obviously.
That's code for I'm so super duper into you. Like, that's without her basically saying, using the I can see myself falling in love with you phrase. Like, that's basically what she's saying there.
Yeah, I'm curious with all the previews we've seen of Nate, the guys calling Nate some kind of actor or like all that stuff. I'm curious when that twists, or if it's even that serious, or if it was just preview cuts, because it's gonna take a lot, I think, to knock Nate and her's connection at this point. So yeah, the guys start talking about Joe and Michelle drama a little bit. Our boy Rick comes in, which this was what I wanted to tell you about earlier with your thing with Jim Halpert. Look at Rick's face and his expressions. He obviously has really like kind of scary eyes, but he looks like Jim Halpert with a beard. He has a lot of the same mannerisms and kind of facial structure, and once you see it, you can't unsee it.
I'll have to look it up
now I see him and I'm like, Halpert, you're there. Where's Pam? So yeah, that was the thing about Rick, but I'll let you kind of take over what Rick talks with her about.
Rick, hang on, I'm just looking.
Well, I don't know if anybody else has put it together. It could just be me.
You know what? If Jim Halpert, like later season Jim Halpert, when he swooped the hair over.
Exactly, it's good looking. It's like
if he gave it the stubble in those episodes.
Yep. Well,
yeah, man.
Hey, we got a raid coming in. Thank you so much, Kemmel, for the raid. We're doing a little.
Hey, welcome in.
We're doing a little bachelor podcast talk here, but no, yeah. I definitely think that if it's like real, and I said this to Miss Ruthie, and I was like, he looks like Jim Halpert to me, and she goes, if Jim got really good looking. I was like, fair enough, fair enough. Better hair, scruffy.
I see enough there that I get what you're saying.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you for at least humoring me.
Yeah. No, like I said, I see enough of it there that I get it. So
cool.
Almost like he's one half of the love child. Like if Rick's in the middle, Halpert's up here, and there's somebody else just doing a little bit of a different thing.
Somebody a little better looking. Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't really remember how many people got one-on-one time with Michelle before Rick got in there.
I don't think any, other than Nate. Yeah.
And he doesn't like tattle. He's just very honest. He's like, hey, like, we're worried. We I haven't talked to anybody who was questioning you.
Thanks for the follows, guys.
I haven't talked to, this person and that person. We don't know who was talking this. Like, we don't know, and he just says, like, we never questioned you. We trust you. We're really,
which
upset
honestly, like, really good way. Like, these guys are emoting and expressing themselves in a lot better way than in previous seasons, because he did nothing to make it about him or about like a witch hunt.
Yeah, right? He just said, like, I've talked to, I don't know if he's named names, but he definitely said, I've talked to lots of the guys and we didn't know about this and we were caught off guard.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know who spoke with you, but
yeah. And then he says something about like, yes, hi Pangolin, I see you there.
Lovely.
He says something along the lines of like who was it? Because we just.
I don't even think he said that.
No, somebody else did.
No.
Somebody else did.
She brought it up to him.
She outed him.
Yep.
Yeah. And then she outs him, and then he goes back to the group and brings it up with the group.
Yep.
And then I think he even brings it up in a small group with like, I think it's just Casey, Rick, and Nate at first.
Yep. They're up on the balcony, right?
They call Jamie over. And then they start asking him about it because they don't bring him up in front of the group first. kind of keeping things mellow and chill.
Absolutely, like doing it the right way, in my opinion. At least,
like giving him a chance to explain himself before.
And at this point, they have respect for him, right?
Yeah, because remember when Thomas got kind of dragged out in front of Katie's men, and it was like one dude versus 22 dudes.
It was the shooting gallery. Yep.
Yeah, and it wasn't like he had a chance to discuss things and explain himself, and then go to the bigger thing and kind of have those points made.
Right.
So, but Jamie starts stumbling immediately. Jamie, man, he was talking too much, and now he can't talk at all, it seems like.
Well, it was funny because he was like talking in circles, right?
Yeah.
He was like Donald Trump in a
speak.
Oh yeah, like do you remember I don't know if you ever watched, because you guys don't have to care as much, thank God. But it reminded me of the debate, like the political debate between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton back in the day, where
man, that was
Trump would just
up here.
He would just talk in circles all day long and not say anything real. And I'm like, Jamie, I think I wrote down, Jamie's doing the Trump right now. Yeah. Where, like, why'd you do this bad thing? And he's like, well, what bad thing are we discussing about when in my history? And it just never comes back to an actual answer.
Yeah.
Right.
And then eventually, Nate was the real star here.
He was.
Casey and Rick were both kind of, assertive, but they were, again, all willing to listen to him. And then Nate's like, wait. So, he's like, who's going to see this? Because Jamie starts talking about something about, when people see this, and it's like, well, who? Yeah. And it's a weird fourth wall breaking moment where they acknowledge they're on TV, and the show is pretty good about not breaking that. Yeah. So that's when we get our episode code across the bottom of the screen. Why the fuck are we talking about episodes? Because
man.
Nate doesn't give a shit. Rick doesn't give a shit. Casey doesn't give a shit. They want to be there and talk about and be there for Michelle. And then Jamie's the one who's bringing up, almost like started talking about TV edits. And it's
yeah. And I think he says the term viewers as well.
Yeah, he uses viewers.
It's like, bro, like you're on a TV show. I get it, but come on.
Yeah. And then Nate just straight up asks him, hey, are you threatened by Joe? And it's like, ooh, I think you got him.
That was the barb we were looking for.
Of course, he just starts stumbling and going like, what? No, she's not threatened by Joe. And
Yep.
Starts doing the Trump thing.
Absolutely. So basically, Jamie says that the guys start calling him out, right?
Then it gets into the group setting, and the rest of the guys are kind of like, what the hell?
Kind of shooting at him, and then Michelle comes out there, right? Mm-hmm. And she comes out, and she's basically talking about like, hey, what happened? And I think Michelle came in with the full intention of asking Jamie to go to the side and talking, but because the guys were kind of yapping so much, she ended up just doing it in front of everybody. Yeah. And she's like, what is this like speculation you're talking about? Like, what is this thing you're talking about? And she goes into this whole thing about, his friend saying that it was her and some light-skinned baller coming out of the bar, right? And that was why she felt so insecure. He was saying the guys are talking about it, and then there's this other side, and she's like, this combo was what created this problem, right? Mm-hmm. And he keeps talking like, oh no, it wasn't anything about me. It was this monster, this speculation creating its own monster. And I'm like, Jesus, this guy's a politician. He's a CEO if there ever was one, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and he just and Michelle just really disagrees with his version of the events.
Rightfully
and eventually
so.
Just takes him outside for a one-on-one conversation and basically tells him to leave.
Yeah, she's like, I don't trust you anymore.
And this guy went from an episode and a half ago having everybody in the world behind him to, as of, last rose ceremony, now he's the biggest villain of the season so far.
Absolutely. Yeah. Which is crazy. And of course she kicks him to the curb, right?
Yeah.
The funny thing that I found is he was super emotionless about it. You could tell he was like, oh, fuck. I got caught in my lie. I've clearly been doing this before. Like, this is not his first rodeo with you can tell, like, there's sort of those sorts of people who can tell a really good lie, and then as soon as they're caught and the jig is up, basically they're like, emotionless. I'm out.
Huh.
It's over.
Okay.
And
No, that's new to me. I maybe luckily haven't interacted with a ton of those people.
Oh, then you've lived a good. Canadians are much nicer. Clearly, that's what I mean.
Or maybe I just don't recognize those things. Maybe that's
fair enough. Fair enough. But
that basically brings us into the rose ceremony.
Yeah, Michelle says the cocktail party's over because of all that shit, right?
Yeah.
She has her decision made up.
2 in a row now when she's cut short, which kind of stinks for some of the guys, but
it does. But I think it also speaks to her. I feel like a good bachelorette is like, no, I have my ideas, and I've talked with a lot of these guys through a couple of dates. I don't need some last ditch effort, Hail Mary, tongue down my mouth to be able to make a decision. So
yeah. So I'm not going to go through who everybody got roses. I'll just run through who didn't. So obviously Jamie's been cut. We lose Malik, who I actually thought him and her had a couple good conversations. So that was the one I would say surprised me as far as the cuts. Spencer goes, and him like Leroy, I was like, oh my gosh, right. Yeah, he's on the show. Like, he's had so little screen time.
Despite Spencer being a pretty good looking guy, I was kind of like, meh, whatever.
JT goes, your guy.
And LT, yep.
Was it LT? I wrote down JT.
It's all right. It's LT. Not my guy. He was the guy I was hoping to make fun of more because he's from Bellevue.
Do anything. He had nothing.
Other than showing it. Other than a lot of penis in the first episode, there just wasn't anything there, man.
Yeah, he showed up in a Speedo, and that was it. Yeah. Like, otherwise, he did nothing. So there's no, there's no ammo on him.
No, it's kind of a bummer. I was really hoping for more here.
So I guess on one hand, I guess good for him. All right, see ya.
Fair enough.
JT, LT, whatever. Jeez, me and J names screwing up.
It's Jordan and JT, the new group. Yep.
And then the final cut, at least the way they edit it, makes it look like it was Peter.
Yep.
So Peter goes, and so we lose out on our any more future Peter and Will drama. No 2-on-1 date. However, fingers crossed for Paradise.
Yep. I think it's clear that the franchise is starting to work away from those 2-on-1 dates.
They haven't had one. Gosh, wasn't
the biggest one that forever was Chad, and I forget the gentleman's name.
I forget that too. I never watched that one.
I felt like that was the last knockdown drag out.
Jordan and David on Becca's
seat. Those two.
And they both went home on that day, which was.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember if there was anything. There was a 2-on-1 on Colton. I don't recall.
There was a 2-on-1 on one of the pre-COVID Bachelorette seasons, or Bachelor seasons, where it was 2 ladies. I think
two ladies and Nick.
I think
and
so.
The other reason I know that is because they go on like a swamp date, in alligator swamps.
That's exactly what it was.
The guy who jumped on the back of the boat was in WWE for a cup of coffee. So that's the only reason I know that.
Nice.
Yeah. So you see, when wrestling crosses over, I'm like, oh, I've got that.
You're on top of this. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. The things I was going to say about the folks that did get roses, obviously Joe first. That's something. Casey, the older guy with kind of the gray beard. Yeah. All I put was, holy crap, really? Is he her accountant? That's what I said. And then Chris G, another one that I was like, man, I don't know if I expected him to stick around. And I said,
did, but I've been rooting for him.
Yeah, I said Canada lives.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And but the two roses that did surprise me, mainly that didn't get one over Malik, because I thought Malik and her had been clicking, was Leroy, because again, I forgot he was on the show. When he showed up, I was like, oh, right, yeah, he's here.
It's the first time we've ever heard his voice was this episode.
And Chris S., our little schoolboy.
Tiny Superman is still going strong.
But we see why in the post-show preview thing, why he's still around, because we've just lost Peter, we've just lost Jamie, so who's going to stir the pot?
We need a villain, folks.
Well, we got some short guy energy coming in to do that. So.
Absolutely. So that kind of segues into the preview, right? Starts off with what I think is clearly going to be Martin's first one-on-one, I think, and some sort of car racing date where they're, she says, eat my dust or something to that effect.
Yeah, they're ripping around a track. It looks awesome.
Looks fun and cute. Totally what you think she'd ask Martin to do. Not
Yep.
walking around a hotel kitchen with you know. And the next note I had was Rick on a gondola ? And it looked like they were on some kind of one-on-one as well. So I don't know if they had, if that was like, you know how they used to do like more full season type previews.
Yeah.
So maybe it was like a future date where Rick is with her on a ski trip or something, maybe Minnesota.
That one had me a bit curious whether it was gonna happen, one, in the next episode, and two, is it a full one-on-one, or did he like win a group date?
Totally possible.
Special time after. I wasn't quite sure there, because I kind of got a bit of a vibe from that one. So.
Fair enough. Yeah, I kind of the same, right? Kind of the same. Then there's some sort of shirtless fighting group date that I think is coming soon. I don't know if that's like some wrestle. They always do shit like that, like wrestling. There's always, or whatever.
A wrestling or something one,
yeah. And then it cuts into the real meat of the preview, which is Tiny Superman himself, Chris S., is our next villain. Sounds like
he's getting into it with Nate, and Nate is so chill and mature that I'm kind of surprised that whatever Chris S. is doing has dragged him into it.
Yep.
And the preview makes it look like Nate's being the aggressor, which is...
Well, but it starts off with Chris S. saying, like, there are guys here who have it in the bag and they're acting like it.
Yeah. Right. And then, I don't know. It's edited, right? It's so edited, but like, so it's tough to tell, but yeah. I don't know what to make of that.
Find every chill guy on the planet, though. They all have a certain limit when the chill isn't so chill anymore, because you have to protect yourself in life, right?
Yeah.
Especially being 6'8", I can't imagine Nate has gone unnoticed in much of his life.
Yeah, a lot of people probably would step to a guy like that.
Yep.
Not try to knock the biggest guy off mentality.
Something, yeah. But yeah, I thought it was interesting as well that that he got so aggressive. But
yeah.
Then it cuts to our funny thing, our post credits, right? With Rodney.
Which wasn't the call signs.
Such a bummer. What opportunity missed, man.
I know. So part of their truth or dare date was to photocopy a body part, and they were like, "Oh gosh, I don't know what to do." And Rodney suggests something kind of cute, like put their hands together.
Which would be
she like
cute.
laughs.
Yeah.
And she laughs, and then he goes, and he's like, I'm like, come on, man. The thing you do is your butt.
She's wanting you to put your butt on the thing. Just do it.
She so wants him to put his butt on the screen.
She's not going to put her butt on there. Nope.
Yeah. You know. And he does, and he puts his face on it, which is pretty funny. And they make jokes. Like, oh, this is what your pillow sees every night.
Yeah, and he's got kind of a fun like puffy cheeks anyway, so it kind of like smoshed super well into there. He's got a round
face, so they kind of squish in nicely.
Yeah, it was pretty fun for sure. But, but that was sort of the end of the episode, episode 3 of Michelle's season. Appreciate everybody hanging out.
Yeah, absolutely.